In this episode, we speak to Liz Herman. Liz is an elected vice president of the 70-year-old Society for Technical Communication and currently holds a senior management position at the Accenture Federal Services. We explore the impact of artificial intelligence on the work of technical communicators. Liz sheds light on the pivotal role of AI, emphasizing the symbiotic relationship between technical writers and AI tools, where the professionals harness AI's potential as a co-pilot. We then delve into how the Society of Technical Communication helps its members through the monumental shifts in technology. We examine strategies to enhance skills, navigate the evolving landscape of technical communication, and boost the appeal for membership. Throughout our discussion, Liz touches upon the essence of human connection in a technological-driven world, addressing challenges faced by technical communicators in the wake of remote working and the ever-evolving workplace dynamic post-pandemic. Join us as we explore the area of technical communication, AI's role, and the Society for Technical Communication's pivotal initiatives in navigating these dynamic landscapes. Welcome to this episode of Implementing Best Practice in Business. We're here to help you and your organization understand and implement global best practice to help you face the business challenges of today. Join me, Richard Pharro, CEO of APMG International, in talking to leaders and practitioners who have applied these frameworks and practices to boost their productivity. They're here, willing to share their knowledge and experience to help you learn from them so you can do the same to make you more competitive in today's market. My guest today is Liz Herman. Liz is an elected vice president of the Society of Technical Communication. She's also a senior manager, knowledge content training with Accenture Federal Services. In her academic background, she has a PhD from Walden University, Applied Management and Decision Sciences, and her dissertation was exploring knowledge loss in the contact center, key loss areas, contributing factors, and performance metric implications. She is very versed in organizational knowledge management and change management, and has worked in multiple industries. But her real passion in her business activities is to build deep human connections that elevate individual and team performance to solve complex problems through figuring out how organizations manage what they know, how they can improve, how they manage, and how they can extend what they know to their customers for an excellent customer experience. In her spare time, she teaches technical writing and project management in a variety of academic institutions. And in 2020, Liz received the Service to the Citizen Award for her work with the United States Department of Agriculture and its Ask USDA Knowledge Management Portal. Liz, that's an impressive CV, so welcome.
Thank you, Richard. Brilliant. That was a long introduction, but I thank you for reading through that and talking through that. I appreciate that. And it's so lovely to see you again.
Yeah, it's really good to see you again. But since we last met, there's been this thing called artificial intelligence. So we hear a lot about AI tools, and I don't know whether they will replace knowledge workers. But what impact are you seeing on the work your members are doing? And how can the society help support members staying current with this massive change in technology and AI?
I love that we're starting out with artificial intelligence because, of course, in the Society for Technical Communication and among technical communication, technical communicators and technical writers, it's certainly a big buzz about AI, right? And we're excited about it. We see a lot of opportunity in AI. I'm glad that you mentioned that, it's not going to go on without us, that we're still going to be very much a part of AI. I was just having a conversation yesterday with a colleague who talked about technical writers being a co-pilot to AI, and I loved that term. So I'm taking it on. I'm going to be using that term going forward because I think it really captures how technical communicators are going to work with AI. Because it does require a co-pilot, right? So it can generate a lot of great information, canvas a lot of information, and create an output. But that output still has to be managed by someone And that someone, it makes perfect sense that it would be a technical communicator. Plus, I just read a great article in Forbes that came out right at the end of the year that emphasized the need for people with creative thinking skills in AI, that we can't all be coders. We need some people with creative thinking skills that often come when you're an English major or a literature major or maybe even a philosophy major. And so I think that we, as a society and as a community of writers and English majors and philosophers, are kind of going to be well in hand with the AI revolution. As far as what we're doing, Richard, we're learning from our members, right? We're learning. It's a two-way street. We're not just putting out education, but we're learning from our members what they're doing with AI. We've had some courses on ChatGPT that have been well attended and have really gotten a lot of traction in our community, but that's just the surface. So there will be more education, there will be more discussion, and there will be more of us kind of collectively figuring out how we're going to move forward with AI.
It's interesting you say that. I got an email from a colleague today. Someone he's working with had created a contract using ChatGPT and sent it to somebody else. The person that received it used ChatGPT to review the contract and came back with issues that he had within the contract. So it just shows you, even with the technology, you still need that human interface to make sure that what's coming out makes sense. And I fully subscribe to your view about the creativity. Unless you are able to have that creative mindset, it's going to be very, very bland. It helps you get past first base. It helps you get started with something, but then you do need that creativity. And I mean, talking about your members, they come from a huge range of backgrounds. So how does the society now sort of help existing members develop skills and promote the attractiveness of membership? Because as you say, a lot of people might see you can just run it through a computer, you can just run it through AI. So how do you raise that profile about it's the individual who's behind the technical communication that actually makes it more relevant?
I think the human connection is always going to be there. Maybe that's me being a philosopher, a creative thinker, but I think the human connection is always going to be there. There's always going to be a need for that. And so one of the things that we're doing is, we're continuing our in-person conferences. So we had some virtual conferences during COVID. We came back together in person 2 years ago, and we are planning to have an in-person conference this year in the United States in May 17th to 19th in Minneapolis, Minnesota, or just outside of Minneapolis, Minnesota in Bloomington. And I really think that that's a place where, of course, we can listen virtually, we can learn from our members virtually, but having that face-to-face contact to even get more involved into what they need as far as AI and what aspects of AI, what challenges they're experiencing. I think those are going to be natural conversations that we're having in the conference. And again, we have to turn to education to see what the members need, how they might react to things that we're putting together on artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and probably things that we're not even thinking about, right? It's such a huge world, such a big umbrella under AI that we're, developing the conference to help answer some of those questions. But I think we're going to come away with ideas from the members of what they need.
I mean, can you share any insights into the types of skills and learning that members have put forward as topics for the conference or themes for the conference?
Yeah, it's interesting. They are still looking for the foundational technical communication skills, right? I don't think that will ever go away. So we have so many new people coming into technical communication. I'm so excited about that. And you mentioned in my intro that I teach technical communication classes. And there are so many people coming from other careers into technical communication and looking for a role, taking the skills that they had in another industry. Maybe they were a teacher and now wanting to get a technical communication position. So foundation skills, we're still always going to focus on that, right? How do you be a good technical writer? How are you a good editor? What can you contribute to the technical communication field? But also job hiring and resumes. Again, I would consider that part of the foundation as well, because there still is, Richard, as you know, a lot of volatility in the job market. And, to our community, our members are still, needing those skills of how do I find my next job? How do I put my best foot forward? How do I present this resume in this kind of hybrid environment that we're working in right now? And then obviously things around artificial intelligence. What I'm excited about is that we're also asking people to share what their best practices are. And I know we've talked about best practices in the past, and they're probably going to come up again today. But we want people to share what their hacks are. And that's going to be a big part of the conference, because not everyone has the latest tools. Not everyone has the various software that's out there. Some of us are, creating things because we have to, because we maybe don't have any kind of mainstream software. And so we want to hear what people are doing to make their technical communication lives easier and better. And that's going to be a big component of the conference.
And it's interesting, isn't it, that all we hear about of, people working from home, people working remotely, but there's still this human element within all of us, Liz, isn't there, where getting together with colleagues and actually just being physically face-to-face talking about issues brings a whole new dimension to trying to solve those problems and share that best practice.
Agree. We heard a lot of feedback about that at last year's conference. And, we're a community in technical communication that I don't want to say is small, but it's intimate, right? It's a lot of people who have known each other, and we had new people coming in, and that was the biggest piece of feedback that I received from the conference, that they could come and talk to me as a member of the board. They could talk to Tim Esposito, who was the president of the board. They could talk to our new executive director, Tim Shaw. We're present at the conference. We're seeking that human connection too, and we want to meet as many members and attendees as possible when they're coming into the conference.
And do you think that intimacy that you have between the organization and the members is what puts you in a very strong position among professional bodies? Because a lot of professional organizations these days are struggling to get members, are struggling to maintain that membership. But there's something quite special about as you say, the intimacy that you have within the society, and you can grow that gradually by involving and introducing new members. Is that what gives you this power and this, the ability to survive in quite challenging times?
I think that it does. I think our long-term members would attest to that sense of community, and that's how we kind of embrace our new members coming in. Not everyone can come to the conference and have that face-to-face experience, and we're certainly sensitive to that. So we try to, do other things in our community to make them feel welcome and make them feel engaged if they're not able to come to the conference. But Richard, I would be remiss in saying that, we struggle as well. We're really coming off of COVID and the pandemic, like all organizations are. And so we're working really hard to be responsible to our members and be fiscally responsible as an organization. And, we're trying to be lean so that we can continue our organization and try to really refine what we offer to our members, right? So that we can continue. But we are struggling, and I don't want that to be a red flag to anyone. We're pretty transparent about what's happening in our organization. And we believe we're in a good space and we're doing the right things to continue on. But it has been a hard road after COVID, and even in the current environment where, organizations as a whole are changing where they support their employees. So it may not always be professional organizations. The money and the funding for people to go to conferences may not always be there, because I think all companies are looking at being more lean and, maybe more fiscally conservative, especially with the current state of the economy. So I feel good about where we're going. We have a great president right now in Tim Esposito and a great executive director in Tim Shaw. I will be ascending to the presidency next year. I'm very bullish on STC. I feel very good about it, but we've had to make changes, and we're continuing to look at how we make changes and what we need to do to sustain the organization.
It's a real challenge, isn't it? Because organizations thrive because of the caliber and the quality of the people within the organization. And everyone usually says our people are our greatest asset. But there's so many organizations don't then invest in their people. They don't actually invest in making sure that the people in these key roles and in key activities are able to keep up to date. And it always seems to be this this contradiction. Our people are our greatest asset, but we don't have the budget to actually help them develop in their careers so they can actually help the organization move forward. And I know you have members across many different industries. Is there any, do you see any difference on what industry a member is in related to the amount of investment that industry is prepared to put in to enable that member to keep up to date? Or is it sort of fairly common across all industries?
I think it's fairly common. And I'm glad that you brought up, multiple industries or the concept of multiple industries, because we had a census that was created or completed by Saul Carliner, who's one of our STC fellows, looking at what industries our members are in. And it was so diverse, like real estate, medical equipment, finance, higher education, construction, private security. So we're across all industries. I think that issue that we're seeing is common across all. I don't think it's specific to one industry. And, we would not be the organization that we are without our volunteers. So I need to, call out our massive volunteer effort that run our chapters and run our communities. The board, being on the board is a volunteer activity. There's no remuneration. We do it because we're passionate about technical communication and passionate about the society, but it is about the people, because our volunteers are the backbone of our organization, and they work very hard for us, and they are a key reason why we're still here today and a key reason why we will continue to be here in the future.
And how international is the society? Do you have members sort of far and wide, or is it, I know it's predominantly a US organization, but do you have members, in other countries, and are there other countries that are actually sort of embracing the need for better technical communicators within their industries that you sort of see in the US?
We do have international members, yes, and we have other international organizations in TechCom that we like to, stay close to. It's certainly, we don't consider it a competition, right? We're happy that there's other organizations that we can partner with or attend their conferences. They attend our conferences. So I think there are initiatives going on, yes, internationally from a technical communications perspective. And I think one of our kind of future plans is to maybe do a more complete job of interacting with those organizations and making sure that there's cross-pollination of ideas and best practices.
I mean, are you able to share any plans with us that you have in place to help sort of prepare members for emerging trends and challenges? I mean, we've spoken about AI, but is there anything else that you can see on the horizon that might have an impact on the work they do day to day?
I mean, I feel like it's so open, Richard. It's so open. I mean, the world is changing at such a fast pace that we are trying to get in front of it. I mean, I know that AI is the answer that everyone gives, but we're just trying to listen to what the members need and pay attention to what's going on in the industry as far as organizations, right? So we don't have a crystal ball. I wish we did, right? I wish I did, but we don't know what's coming. I mean, we try to be futuristic, but it's really going to be our members giving us those trajectories or telling us what they see happening so that we can coalesce that into something that makes sense, that we can maybe pin a future 5 to 7 year vision on. I think at the moment we're looking for stability for our members. And we're looking at, continuing the organization despite the seismic changes that have happened because of the pandemic. We're looking to provide always a stable base for our technical communicators so they always have something to come back to, that foundation of skills. And whatever the skills are in the future, we'll try to predict as best we can, but it's really going to be us and our volunteers looking out across the horizon to see what's coming.
Liz, you mentioned the pandemic a couple of times. How did that have a major impact on your members?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. Because I still feel like we're coming out. The switch to remote work was certainly a challenge from a human perspective, just to go back to what we were talking about being a person and being a human and taking away some of that social construct that we had and that ability to network with each other. I think that sometimes for technical communicators, when you're not kind of present in the room, people are like, do we need that technical writer? So being able to stay present during that time was challenging. And obviously, there was downsizing that came as a result of that. And our members sometimes were looking for jobs during that time. And then we had virtual conferences, and we were definitely missing that human connection. I'm so proud that we were able to do a virtual conference and offer that service to our members and be on camera and talking like you and I are today. But that was something that, we had to make an adjustment for, and our members had to make an adjustment for. So I think we're all I know it's 2024, so probably this year, Richard, I'm going to have to stop talking about the pandemic, but I just see there's still kind of a ripple effect. There's still a ripple effect to that, right? And people are still cautious. So even having a face-to-face conference, some people are still not traveling and they're still cautious about, what's happening with COVID and things like that. So we're trying to do our best and help our members after that and learn how to navigate a remote workplace, a hybrid workplace, learn how to navigate the emotions that come for some people who have to go back in the office, right? A lot of companies are requesting people to go back in the office. And for some people, they're like, yes. Other people, they're like, I don't want to go back in the office. So it's just kind of helping them navigate those things while helping them try to advance their career in technical communication.
Liz, I agree with you. I can still feel the ripples of COVID and the working from home. Like most organizations, we had to get people working from home fairly quickly, and it worked fairly well with us. We had the technology in place. Now people are starting to come back into the office occasionally. It's free choice. We have no mandate one way or the other. But then I keep reading in the press about working from home doesn't actually generate improved productivity. Some of the research now is saying it's bad for productivity, but a year ago, everyone was saying working from home improves productivity. And maybe it is that human interaction that you miss working from home that is actually the fire in that collaboration that you have face to face that is actually driving productivity that we didn't really think about pre-pandemic, but it's now coming back to being quite a key thing. But the upside for us, I think, is we've been able to recruit people much farther afield to work for us that we would never have been able to recruit if we were doing a 5-day week in the office. So it has upsides and downsides, but it still is very, very prevalent in the impact that we're having following the pandemic that allegedly finished a couple of years ago. So we will see. I agree with you. But, the society's, it was 70 years old last year, I believe. So, you've weathered a lots of ups and downs and changes in society, changes in industry, a couple of recessions in there, a few changes of president, few changes of direction. So I'm sure what you have to face over the next 5 to 10 years, as society will rise to that challenge as it has in the past. But, do you have any thoughts, or is it just this, take it as it comes because we don't know what's around the corner.
Well, thank you for recognizing our 70th anniversary. I do want to pause there for a minute and let that sink in to people who are listening to the podcast, because that's a huge accomplishment. And there was so much change during that time. So 70 years is an accomplishment. And I think we're all looking for, another 70 years. I think when people ask me this question, Richard, particularly because I'm on the board, as far as the next 5 to 10 years, or even if they're asking me for the next 70, I think they want me to say, growth and, amazing things and whiz bang woo. But I'm really looking toward sustainment and stability, because there have been struggles the past few years with our membership kind of ebbing and flowing, right? And things happening post-pandemic. So I'm really looking for stability. I want us to be in a position where we're, doing well financially. We have staff. Our staff works so hard for us. Tim Shaw and Aaron Galilee work so hard for us. That they're doing well, right, with their duties and care of the society. And I think we need to continue to refine member engagement and what that looks like. To your point about, predicting what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, people are still going to need to know how to write. They're still going to need to know how to communicate. And that's a service we want to continue to provide. We want to help them through this AI boom, I'll call it, and figure out how to navigate that. We want to be there for that. But we really just want to be sustainable and have stability and make sure that we're servicing our community of technical communicators to the best that we can.
Thank you for that. I mean, that's very refreshing for me, because I don't know how anyone plans for 3 to 5 years with so much change. Apart from having a general direction of travel and then taking into account what arises, how can you say in 3 years or 5 years you'll do this? I mean, AI appeared in a period of probably 6 to 9 months, from being something you may have read about to a product available to everybody now trying to use it. And I'm sure that, as in the .com boom, there will be some shakeout in the AI industry, and everything will settle down, and we'll start to look at it and say it is a co-pilot, it is an aid, but it's not going to replace us any more than the high street or the shopping malls weren't replaced overnight by online shopping. Some died, some are coming back. Right. It is just the normal regeneration, isn't it?
Yes, I love that regeneration. And that's not to say that we're not aimless. No. We are thinking ahead. We're thinking ahead to where's our 2025 conference going to be? Where's our 2026 conference going to be? I mean, we are, planning those things as best as we can. And then the rest is we're riding the wave of change, and trying to forecast what's there for our members if we can.
Liz, many thanks for your time. It's great talking to you. It's always exciting to hear what you have in store. And I hope the conference is a resounding success. And I hope you get a chance to meet all 400 or 500 or 800 attendees at the conference.
Me too. I love it.
And good luck for the next 3, 5, 10 years. Thank you very much for spending time with me.
Thanks, Richard. Always wonderful to talk with you. Great questions. And I appreciated the dialogue.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. We're always keen to hear your feedback and suggestions for future episodes. You can find all the information in the show notes below. Please visit apmg-international.com to find out more about our accredited training and the certifications that support them that are related to the topics discussed in this series. I hope you've enjoyed today, and I look forward to you joining future episodes while we continue our exploration into best practice and the benefits it brings to global business. Thank you.